Hello everyone, welcome to Logic Medical. Today's interesting topic is movement of the fingers. So what are the movements possible in the finger? So the bending of the finger is called as flexion. So this movement is called as flexion. In the finger there are three phalanx, the proximal phalanx, the middle phalanx and the distal phalanx. This bending of the proximal phalanx is mainly caused at metacarpophalangeal joint. So this is the metacarpal in the hand and this is the phalanx, metacarpophalangeal joint. Initially it was caused by palmaris longus muscle. Subsequently the two long tendons going to the distal phalanx, the flexor digitorum profundus and the tinier one, flexor digitorum superficialis, going to the middle phalanx. When it is crossing metacarpophalangeal joint, even these two muscles, the flexor digitorum profundus and flexor digitorum superficialis, can itself cause the flexion of the metacarpophalangeal joint. Therefore, palmaris longus got degenerated. Now the attachment of palmaris longus is to the apex of palmar aponeurosis. Otherwise, initially in evolution, palmaris longus used to cause flexion of the proximal phalanx. So next, coming to the flexion of the middle phalanx. So this flexion of the middle phalanx is caused by flexor digitorum superficialis. Each of these tendon goes to the medial foredigit. Each tendon splits up into two slips to get attached to either side of the middle phalanx. Last but not the least, the flexion of the distal phalanx. This phalanx, distal phalanx, is mainly caused by flexor digitorum profundus, the deep flexor muscle of forearm. It goes to the distal phalanx. So the flexion of the proximal phalanx was caused by palmaris longus. Now it's taken over by superficialis and profundus. The middle phalanx is mainly caused by superficialis because it's attached to the middle phalanx, and the distal phalanx is caused by flexor digitorum profundus. Since the flexor digitorum profundus is also crossing these two joints, that is a metacarpophalangeal and proximal interphalangeal, it can cause flexion of these joints as well, right? So that is a logic involved in flexion of the digits. The next action includes extension of the digit. The straightening of the fingers is called as extension of the digit. Here in the extension we can see only one muscle is there here, that is extensor digitorum. So this one muscle, extensor digitorum, has got four tendons for the medial four digits. Each tendon has to cause extension of proximal phalanx, middle phalanx and distal phalanx. One tendon has to get attached to three areas. So therefore nature creates the tendon into a flattened expansion like a chapati. It will become flattened and expanded. It's triangular in outline. It is present on the dorsum of the digit, therefore called dorsal digital expansion. The base of this triangular expansion, since it is formed by extensor tendon, we can also call it as extensor expansion. The base forms a hood for the head of the metacarpal. I repeat, the base forms the hood for the head of the metacarpal. The apex goes to the proximal interphalangeal joint, trifurcates into three slips. The median slip gets attached to middle phalanx. The two lateral slips reunite to get attached to distal phalanx. So the base causes extension of proximal phalanx. The apex, which is trifurcating into three slips, the median, the center slip getting attached to middle phalanx, causes extension of middle phalanx. The two lateral slips rejoins to get attached to distal phalanx, causes extension of the distal phalanx. So this is extension of the digit. The straightening of the fingers is called as extension. It's caused by, you can see the tendon clearly, extensor digitorum. There is additional tendons for the index finger. It's called the extensor indicis. You can see that independent movement of the tendon, extensor indicis. So you can see that extensor clearly visible. Extensor indicis for the index finger. Again the same insertion, and extra tendon for the little finger, extensor digiti minimi. Extensor digiti minimi. That's additional tendons for this index finger and little finger. Extension is straightening of the digits. Next, coming to the other movements of the fingers, which are just have an imaginary line passing through the third metacarpal and middle of the hand, like this, middle of the middle finger. Okay, just have an imaginary line like this. So any movement away from this imaginary plane is called as abduction. Okay, so this is abduction of the fingers. Please note, For the thumb I have done a separate video, you can see on that, link is there in the description. So this is abduction of the fingers. The movement of this middle finger either away from this imaginary line like this or toward this is also away from the imaginary line. It's not away from the body, it's away from this imaginary line, either like this or like this. It's called abduction. So this spreading of the fingers, this movement of the fingers away from the imaginary line passing through third metacarpal is called as abduction. This abduction is caused by dorsal interosseous muscle. There is a separate abductor for the little finger, abductor digiti minimi, abductor pollicis brevis. So separate abductors are there for the little finger and the thumb. The first dorsal interosseous causes abduction of the index finger. The second and the third dorsal interosseous cause abduction of the middle finger. The second will move like this, the third will move like this. So this is the abduction of middle finger, the second and third dorsal interosseous. The last one, fourth dorsal interosseous, causes abduction of the ring finger. So this spreading of the finger or movement of the finger away from the imaginary plane passing through third metacarpal is called as abduction of the finger. This is mainly taking place in the MCP, metacarpophalangeal joint. Okay. This movement of all the fingers towards the center imaginary plane passing through third metacarpal, this movement is called as adduction. The closing of these fingers like this is called as adduction. It is caused by palmar interosseous muscles. This first palmar interosseous causes adduction of the thumb. Don't worry about that. The second palmar interosseous causes adduction of the index finger. The third palmar interosseous causes adduction of the ring finger. The fourth palmar interosseous causes adduction of the little finger. So the first one causes adduction of thumb. The second causes adduction of the index finger. Third one causes adduction of the ring finger. The fourth one causes adduction of little finger. Now the point here is, why is the palmar interosseous not attached to the proximal phalanx of the third finger or the middle finger? Why is it? Just think over it. Because it should cause adduction, right? What is adduction? Movement towards the midline of the palm of the hand, third metacarpal is adduction. So think over it. You can tell this. If you are told the middle finger is already there in the midline, there is no need of any adduction for the finger which is already there in the midline, then you are told the correct answer. So when it is already there in midline, see, this is already there in midline. Adduction of thumb is required, adduction of index finger is required, ring finger is required, little finger is required. There is no requirement of any adduction for the middle finger because it is already in adducted position. So adduction is caused by palmar interosseous. So palmar interosseous causes adduction, ADD, adduction. This is adduction. Dorsal interosseous causes abduction, ABD, this is abduction. I hope you understood this movement, the flexion, the bending of the fingers, extension, the straightening of the fingers, flexion caused by palmaris longus, flexor digitorum superficialis, flexor digitorum profundus, extension caused by extensor digitorum along with extensor indicis, extensor digiti minimi, abduction caused by dorsal interosseous muscle. Separate abductors are there for thumb and the little finger. Adduction is caused by palmar interosseous muscle. Adduction is caused by palmar interosseous. Palmar interosseous neither gains origin from third metacarpal nor gets inserted to third digit of the middle finger. That is because already the middle finger is there in the midline. So there is no need of adducting a structure which is already there in midline. Thank you for watching and learning from Logic Medico. Kindly subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get the latest notification of videos. Thank you once again.